Diego Lopes made a super hot impression onto the scene after his loss to Movsar Evloev, even though it was a very valiant and formidable approach. Now, he fights a guy, man, who's coming off of a nasty loss. One loss that's honestly, man, it's weird because I don't know what happened. He was on such a hot streak. He loses one fight, and then you don't see him for 2 years. Gavin Tucker got flash KO'd, one hitter quitter by Dan Ige, and we don't know what happened to him. Do you know what happened to Gavin Tucker?
Not a clue, Derek. In fact, when I was looking this up and I saw that it was 2 years ago, I was like, damn, that is wild. It seems like it was a lot shorter. Yeah. He might have just been recovering. Sometimes you need to heal that chin up, I guess.
And he had a lot of steam on him too, bro. Yeah, you come in, you lose to Ricky Glenn, whatever, right? That's an OG veteran. You string off 3-win fight streak against Justin James, who was a hot name at the time. Billy Quarantillo, that is definitely, how would you say, that fight has aged very well. There you go. And then lastly, you got Sting Wu Choi, right? Those are big wins, man. Gavin Tucker's a really good fighter. So to see that kind of 2-year layoff, it's like, oh, what happened? But then you got a more active guy here in Diego Lopes, who hasn't fought many times over the last couple of years, right? But it's roughly about 2-3 a year, which is like your standard. Now, how do you describe this fight, AJ? I would say you have volatile explosiveness, finishing capacities for Diego Lopes. And then if you're Gavin Tucker, bro, you got a lot of that same stuff. It's just more composed and technical. How would you break this fight down?
That's I would give it to the very sorry, Derek, stuttering over here. I would go very akin to what you're saying, because when you were saying, explosive power and all this stuff at the beginning, I thought you were going to say for Gavin Tucker. And in fact, Diego Lopes is also that very same way. I do think he's a little slick. Diego Lopes is a little slicker on the ground. Gavin Tucker's more of that pressure, power oriented. If we're going to see him on the ground, it's going to be on top. But I actually see these boys slinging it out unless one of them gets hurt, and then they fall into it, ground and pound. They kind of mix it up from there. This is a hard one, Derek, because this wasn't a lock one way or other for me. I went multiple hours over this one, just watching tape back and forth. Diego Lopes, as much as he came in and lost that fight to Movsar Evloev, he showed up. And I think it was like 3-4, some short notice, because he was a coach of a fighter that was fighting on the card. And apologies that I forgot that fighter's name too. But still, to show up and do that and have the performance, you lose and you get a bump. Like, this guy, Diego Lopes, is an absolute problem. I'm excited to see what he does on a full week's training camp when he's mentally sound, ready to go in there and scrap, knows who he's fighting. This is going to be an interesting one. I see this as a toss-up. It's very, very close on the odds, Derek. Do you see it being that kind of washing machine back and forth style of fight, or are we just in it for a quick one right here?
No, I can definitely see that, but I can also see one-way traffic in a very odd way here. Now, let's not forget that Diego Lopes is Alexa Grasso's jiu-jitsu coach, right? So he's down there in that camp. But if you're looking at the odds, what I thought was interesting is that Gavin Tucker opened up as an underdog here. I thought he'd be the favorite. And the reason why is because if you look at his style technically, I think he's stand-up-wise much more technical fighter than Diego Lopes. He will pin you down, cut off the cage, lock you in the corner, and start teeing off on you. Lopes is like, I'm a wild man. Let's swing and bang, baby. But that's the danger right there for Gavin Tucker, is that sometimes that volatility and that unpredictable style can lead to openings that aren't normally there. So that's where I see the openings to get the fight to the ground for Lopes. It's, I blast you with that right cross, and then I hit you with a two-piece, a couple of hooks. Next thing I know, I'm at closing distance. I got a body lock, and now I'm inverting and grabbing your heel and going for a heel hook. You know what I mean? Like, the thing about Gavin Tucker is we saw it in the Danny Ige fight for sure. We saw it in the Justin James fight for sure. When you pressure him and you throw multiple shots at once and you hide a shot, so you throw that right hand right behind the jab, he gets caught by those things, man. Like, kind of consistently, and it's a little interesting to see. So Diego Lopes has the style that presents that. Do you see real trouble happening if this is a purely stand-up fight, or do you think that Lopes has to get it to the ground to make this interesting?
No, I see this being a very fun fight, both on the feet and on the ground. Diego Lopes, like I said, has the advantage on the ground, in my opinion. But together, when they're standing up, Gavin Tucker has this, like, another, not small, because he's not a small dude, but he has, like, this compact, tight form. And that does lend a problem to Gavin, or to Diego Lopes, when he's just in there swinging. It's both a pro and a con for both guys fighting in this one. So I think we're in store for a barn burner, Derek.
You really brought up the point that I wanted to say for last. This is the best part. People also don't quite understand. Diego Lopes is a monster of a man at 145 pounds. My man is 5'11", What? 72-inch reach? Gavin Tucker, 5'6", 66-inch reach. For comparison, my fiance is 5'6", bro. I'm 6 foot. Like, that is a major, that's like not a small difference. That is a major difference. So given the frame of these two fighters, Gavin Tucker might not particularly be able to kind of stick to the tried and true, I'll walk you down and be technical when you got a monster of a man standing in front of you, right?
Yeah, you're right, Derek. And that's why I was going so much back and forth between these fights, because this is such a close one. I can see Gavin Tucker having the ability to pull a Mike Tyson, get up on the inside, beat him up to the body, hurt him up on the head, kind of cutting corners and not really allowing the big guy to kind of lumber over you. But at the same point, Diego Lopes is not a lumbering kind of fighter. This boy's slick and he's there for the chaos. This one's going to be a fun one regardless. I'm still, in my opinion, I think Gavin Tucker pulls this one out. I'm going Gavin Tucker, and I'm actually going to go by decision, Derek. I don't know about you, but I do see this fight being very, very fun, but lasting the distance. What do you think?
I've seen Gavin Tucker fall into some submission traps before. He's very tough, and it's hard to get that man out of there. So it's hard to say, oh, yeah, Lopes submits him, even though that's his game. He's a submission artist. But I'll tell you, there's some of those guys who, when they're really good at what they do, it does not matter who you are. They'll find how to get that submission. I'm going to rock with that plus 225 Diego Lopes sub. But for devil's advocate here, I see so much value in a plus 250 decision on Gavin Tucker. I see so much value there that I think that you should sprinkle that regardless. Or if you want to stay away from this altogether, just throw a little something on that plus 250. Or worst case scenario, over 2.5 rounds. Take the bet, you know what I mean? And then keep it running from there. Any other thoughts on this one, AJ?
No, I like it, Derek. I actually like that over 2.5. I do. If there's a finish, it's going to come late, and I do think this one's going to decision personally.
All right, fair play.